Hi, it's me, Tom, and I want to welcome everyone back to Forever and Always, a podcast about Baywatch, for Baywatch fans, by a Baywatch fan. And it's very exciting. This is episode 6, and I'm obviously thrilled that everyone is here to come listen. Again, we had a large influx of fans last week, and then a large exodus of fans, pretty much in the same breath. But I'm glad we kind of put that behind us. And I'm very excited just to kind of get back into, the more traditional podcasts, if that's what we can call it here. I do always like to be, kind of on the edge, like a surfer, riding the edge of the wave when it comes to Baywatch content, but I don't want to go too far. So once again, I'm very thrilled that everyone seems to be enjoying the show, and I do want to give a a small overview of what we're going to be talking about today. And again, it's not the pilot. So for those of you who are just ready to leave that comment, we're going to get there, I promise you. And I'm really looking forward to it. But today we're going to jump, kind of drastically ahead. And I want you to buoy yourselves and be prepared for that. We're going to jump all the way ahead to Season 7, Episode 11, Heal the Bay. And I'll explain why as we go along. And again, I think, much like the podcast episode where we at length discussed Mitch flying into a tree, I think it will become apparent why we are talking about Heal the Bay today. Pardon me. And so, now that we laid a little bit of the groundwork, again, you can see we're in this lovely studio, and I have been working a substantial amount of hours, much more than I thought that we originally agreed to. For instance, I guess since Sunday, I've worked about 55 hours. It's a lot more cleaning than I thought, and while it's not a traditional paying job, I am I am happy. I'm happy in the work, and I'm happy again that we get to use the studio. And I think that's definitely going to be a positive going forward. And on the topic of work, I was doing my regular rounds. I was doing some mopping and some dusting, and as an aside, I'm starting to understand why there was a bit of a kerfluffle with the previous custodian, as to put it lightly. This place it definitely wasn't passing the Boatwater white glove test, if you will. So I'm definitely trying to remedy that. And in that same vein, I was in one of the crawl spaces up here. There's many crawl spaces. It's actually kind of shocking. I came across a bunch of old boxes and, dusty old boxes, and, it was pretty bland stuff, the typical, tax papers. And, I'm not, super familiar with the, financial world. And, but I was rummaging through and, pulling these boxes out in order to mop, the underneath, the underneath section of it. And, I happen, and you may be noticing, Tom, where's your sweater? Where's your brown sweater? And, sitting on top of one of these boxes was this very shirt that you see here. And I picked it up, and I thought to myself, Tom, maybe the brown sweater isn't, overly appropriate for a beach themed or a Baywatch beach themed podcast. And so I saw this, and the colors, the vibrant colors, and, really spoke to me and said, you got to put me on and record the podcast, Tom. And, here we are. And I hope everyone enjoys this as much as I do. I'm not normally a fan of these kind of flamboyant shirts like this. But I do think I think it's going to be a great addition visually to the podcast, and I'm very, very excited about that aspect. So just a quick note in case any of you are wondering, like, whoa, this is a brand new look. What happened to Tom? There's nothing to worry about. I just thought it'd be I thought it'd be neat and fun for everyone involved. Excuse me for 1 second. Again, it's very, very early, and I'm very, very I'm a little tired after these the work hours that I'm putting in. And so on Sunday, trying to get into the mode of why we're having this we're skipping ahead in the episodes. And on Sunday, my church had a big potluck dinner, which or lunch, I guess you would call it. And I did not attend. I do not eat food from strangers, so that's not something that I would be particularly interested in. But nevertheless, it seems, I guess people, didn't have that great of a time, as I was preparing some materials for this very podcast, and my supervisorial companion, JF. I don't think she wants to be involved in this podcast, but initials JF, received a call, and they asked for me, and I got on the phone and they said, "Tom, you get up here right now. There's been some incidents with the potluck, and we need you right away." And I said, "Oh gosh, it's happening. Now's the time. I spring into action like Mitch. If Mitch sees somebody drowning in the ocean or struggling, and waving their arms, he doesn't ask questions. He jumps right into the ocean, and he's ready for action. I'm ready to come to the rescue, as he so often does." And that's exactly what I did. I said, JF, get the keys. You got to take me up to the church. And she, mumbled and grumbled, as she is apt to do. But eventually, after an hour or so, she was able to get me up to the church. And I came in, and as described, it was not, the most pleasant scene I've ever been involved in. Now, nobody has been able to determine whether it was, Reggie's baked beans or, Madeline's tuna casserole, which was the main culprit of this, this incident. And really, I guess in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't necessarily matter. And without getting too detailed in this, there was a lot of evacuations, both in the bathroom and in the kitchen. And, many people were, I don't know how to describe it, violently ill from something that they ate at the, at the potluck. And so everybody cleared out of there, and they said, "Tom, there's your mop, you take care of this." And, we're leaving. And so there I was, all alone with only the guidance of Mitch and the gang to buoy me. And I said, what would they do in this situation? Because, the materials I had, it didn't seem to be getting the job done. There's a lot of scraping and a lot of mopping, but appeared I was making no progress, as if I was, Sisyphus rolling the stone up the hill, only to have it come rolling down once again. And I said, this is a time to really lean on your knowledge of Baywatch and your knowledge of problem solving based on Baywatch and Baywatch nights, and really come up with a solution here. People are depending on you. You have the Monday service, and things definitely need to be clean before that happens. And so I did what I thought Mitch would do, and I grabbed a big 5-gallon bucket. I filled it about a quarter with water, and about I put roughly a gallon of bleach in there, and I looked around and I said, I need something that's tough. I need something very heavy duty and hardcore, because this bleach and water is just really, it's not going to get the job done. I promise you that. And so I reached into my cart, my custodian cart, and I pulled out a big jug of Drano. And I thought, now this is serious stuff here. If something's going to cut through this grime and detritus, it's got to be this. And so without hesitation, I opened the cap and I poured it in, and almost immediately upon the Drano hitting the bleach water mixture, I don't know how to describe it, a plume of what I now know is toxic gas immediately filled the room, and filled the whole church. As I was running out, I could see the running and then crawling out, I could see the fumes filling the entire church. And, luckily I was able to make it out. I did have some very severe eye irritation, and so again with the skin condition, as you can see, it's healing up. But I do have some, what they're calling a little few chemical burns and whatnot. But I did not lose consciousness, and I thought that was definitely some progress based on previously with the light comas and whatnot. So I was definitely thrilled about that. And so I laid in the front lawn of the church, and I guess the neighbors saw this fairly large smoke cloud coming from the church, and they called the fire department, and then a few of the clergy members came. Pardon me, and so it was a big scene, I'll tell you that. The police came, obviously, and everybody was, doing their investigations and make sure the neighbors of the church were okay from this, again, this, like large cloud of gas. And so I waited and waited. They wanted to ask me questions about what happened and, why I would mix these things together. And, so I was there for, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours until a pair of people in suits, 2 men actually, wearing suits came and approached me, and they said, "Are you Mr. Boatwater?" And I said, "Why, yes, I am. Yes, I am Mr. Boatwater." And they said, "We need to speak to you." And so they took me in, they had me in the back of their car, and they were, introduced themselves as FBI agents. And I was just, whoa, I was blown away. And I said, what can I help you guys with? And there were some, in the beginning of the conversation, there were some accusations, thrown around that this was a terrorist act, a chemical weapon attack on a church. And I guess when a plume of toxic gas kind of floats through a neighborhood, I guess they are, that's definitely something you're going to look into. So after about 2 hours of what I would call pretty tense investigations and interrogations, they came to the conclusion that no, I'm not, this was not an act of terror. I'm just, I'm just a custodian. And I even told him, I said, guys, there was a time when Mitch was just, it was his first time on the lifeguard stand, and, nobody's perfect. And, while I don't think they got the reference, I do think the point, came across. And, after some stern warnings about mixing chemicals and whatnot, I was, released, and, they were able to, continue their investigation going inside of the church. And, they did seem, particularly interested in some of those boxes. I was, I pulled out of the crawl space, and I think they took some of those with them, maybe to do some chemical analysis. I'm not entirely sure. I'm certainly no investigator in that regard. And that brings me to the episode that I would like to talk about. If we could, one last thing. I did want to give one quick shout out before we get into this. I was going through my direct messages from YouTube and from Spotify, and while there were not many, one really stood out. And I was quite surprised when I saw the username. It was number one Beyonce fan 420, and he or she, I'm not sure, wrote Tom, please don't tell the Bayhive, but I wanted to reach out to you and say, I love Baywatch and I love your show. And I tell you, it really warms my heart when I get these comments on. And she asked, and it was more of a request. She said, now I know y'all are calling yourselves the Anchors now, and I think that's a great name. And, but I am still part of the Bayhive. And she asked if she could be called a banker. B-E-Y. Wait. B-E-Y-N-C-H-O-R, banker. And I thought, wow, this is a top-notch person here. It's really on top of their game, and very versatile. I thought too, being the number one Beyonce fan and a Baywatch fan. I think that's absolutely dynamite. So again, number one Beyonce fan 420. I want to say thank you, and I hope you're listening. And your secret's safe with me. I don't think the the rest of the Bayhive is going to be listening to the podcast, so no worries there. And on a side note, as far as that goes, too, I happened to, I was doing some research, and I was going through some of my old periodicals about Baywatch and some of the behind the scenes kind of stuff, and I thought, you know what? I have a few more minutes of music time. Let me turn on a Beyonce song, song, and I did, and it was a song called, what was it? Oh yes, "Crazy in Love," and I gotta say, I wasn't crazy about it. It was a little bit on the well, it's a little bit on the sexual side, and after enduring the S my D's and the FUs and things like that, I wasn't really in the mood for anything so bawdy. But I do again. Beyonce seems like a really dynamite person, and obviously a top notch talent. So no problems there, and perhaps I'll dig a little bit further into her catalog a little bit later on down the line. But for me, it's more of a Jimmy Jameson mode for now. And so yes, I'm sorry. Back to the episode, and we are again, for your records, season 7, episode 11, and it's called "Heal the Bay." And the reason I wanted to bring that up today, and again, it's just one of these things where I do believe that. I guess I don't believe in coincidences, as I was just happened to be watching this episode in preparation for probably, season 8 or episode, 300 or 400 of this podcast. And I said, this is a great one. And to just kind of set the stage here, Mitch is doing a swim in the ocean as he does, I guess to stay in, the great shape that he's in. In order to be able to act, spring into action at any time. And he's swimming along in its perfect form as usual. And, unbeknownst to him, there are these big canisters of toxic liquid. The Sinister power plant had been dumping their toxic materials in the bay, unbeknownst to anyone. And, Mitch had, again, swam right over it, and he became very, very ill and extremely sick, and everybody was, nobody knew the source of the poison, and it was again a race against time, much like my race against the aftermath of the potluck, and then the aftermath of again the toxic gas. So these, I tell you, it's a strange thing when these lives are operating in parallel, where it be me and Mitch, me and David himself, and unfortunately, I kind of felt like the Hobie of the situation in that regard. But it's just a fantastic episode, and I'm gonna go ahead and start from the. It appears the let me take a look. Yes, it seems the two FBI agents that I guess I could say I became friends with. It looks like they are here again, along with many of their coworkers. So, and yeah, here they come right up to the door. I am going to have to cut this podcast, and obviously we'll be back next week, and we will be getting into the pilot, and then again after around episode 300 or 400, we can jump back into Heal the Bay, and I'm very, very much looking forward to it. And so, I'm always here.